Ladies and gentlemen, here we have it. The barbarians had launched an attack down here into the Romans, and they have been defeated, returning to the faction board. Rome stands undefeated down there. And what happens is the dead are placed into the draw pile. The Romans, as part of the barbarians, have to put another army into the dead. And this Roman army goes ahead and returns back to its faction board victorious. And it's at this stage, my friends, that the barbarians did not win a point, but the Romans have earned themselves another 2, taking them up to 8. And at this stage, the barbarians don't have anything else that they can move. They can move a navy if they want to. Is it worth it? Is it worth a try? They could launch a navy here and go 1, 2, 3, 4. Be intercepted. At this stage, would the Carthaginians accept the interception? The answer is no, because they're on track to win. They're not going to accept the interception. They would absolutely thrash them anyway, because they've only got Bremens. Do they? No, they have Tremens. So they would roll green dice, but the Carthaginians, army with their number 2, so they've both got 2 cards, but they'd be rolling yellow dice. So the Carthaginians would likely win anyway. But they're not going to take it. They're not going to take the bait. They're just not going to take the bait at all. And that means that is the conclusion of the campaign phase. And finally move into the spending phase. And so coming over to the Greeks, they can go ahead, and we're only going to do this and so that we're going to get the final points. So they're going to go ahead and do that. So what's that? Investing 4 to go ahead and grab that development, giving them 11 to 12 points. The Carthaginians are going to go ahead and spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 there. So they can get an extra point, taking them from 18 to 19. The Greeks going from 11 to 12. The Romans going to go ahead and do the same thing. So going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so they will gain 1 victory point. Where's the marker for this? I can't find it. Okay, well, let's just shove it there. They will gain an extra victory point, taking them from 8 to 9. And the barbarians, they already had all of their faction developments up there, so they can't get any more points. And that then means that we could go ahead and do some more spending and add things up, but at this stage, there's no way to be able to earn any more victory points, because at the end of the spending phase, that is the end of the game. Because when the barbarians reached 15, which is the number required for the short campaign, that has triggered the end game, which means you then play until the end of that next turn, which is what this one is here. So we're not going to go through all of the spending and things like that, because there's no victory points to be earned in doing so. And I don't think nobody has any wonders built. That's the only other way, that once you get to the end of that phase, if you've built any wonders, that you can get some more victory points, but nobody's got any. So that essentially takes us to the conclusion of the game and what has happened. So if you've been following this game since the beginning, you'll see that the barbarians actually ended up with a decent early lead. They were absolutely tramping everything, actually running out of markers to be able to place down for all these extra regions, and moving all the way up the board, triggering the end of the game. And in the very last turn, the Carthaginians managed to overtake them and are winning the game with 19 points against the barbarians coming second with 18. The Greeks were able to hold it in there for a very long time, head to head with the barbarians, with the Carthaginians, until those last 2 turns, and things just started going south at that point. They are ending the game on 12 points. And the Romans, the poor Romans, who have trailed the entire game, doing terribly, ended up only with 9 points altogether. But they did make a huge comeback in terms of those last couple of turns, scoring most of their points during then. So, unfortunately, not even able to get themselves into double digits. As you can see, when you look across the board, there's a lot of unrest out there. The barbarians are holding most of the north. And even down here, when you look at the Spanish, the Iberian Peninsula, they're doing really, really well. The Carthaginians may have won, but it has cost them 3 armies. So if you imagine that this was to continue, the barbarians are in a great situation to just scoop up everything over here. The Greeks over there are also in a position where they have lost 3 armies. One huge army ready to defend the central Greek regions, but at the same time, they have nothing really to go on the offensive with, leaving the Carthaginians open to go and capture these here, probably actually at that point making a retreat down until they can go ahead and build themselves up a bit more. But at this stage in the game, we now have 2 really strong Roman armies, and a poor economy for them, unfortunately, but a really strong position that they can actually start moving out, start taking on these barbarians here, start moving, if they wanted to betray the Carthaginians, come down and take their territory here. Maybe look at the Greeks and go back over to the Greeks over there. They would actually be in the strongest position to expand at this stage, whilst the others are going to have to try and consolidate. Not that any of that matters here though, guys, because that is the end of this campaign. Your victorious Carthaginians having most of that Iberian Peninsula, not that they're going to be hanging on to it, all of North Africa there, and even going up over to the Anatolia, taking on the Greeks and taking them out over there. That was a huge, very significant victory there. They did not manage to hold out against the barbarians, but hey, it doesn't matter. They've done enough. They've done enough to get the victory here today. So thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time to come and watch this game. This has been absolutely epic. It has taken so many hours to film over so many different days. You'll have noticed that my jumper has been changing so many times for all the different times that we've had to come together and to look at this game. But as you can see, absolutely phenomenal. What a way for the campaign to end. I suppose one thing that I don't like about the way the campaign ends is that once the end game has been triggered, it forces everybody into a position where, like, you have these huge, massive, epic battles, which is cool. But when you think about it from a rational, like, we're trying to build an empire that is sustainable, it doesn't make any sense. There'd be no sense in throwing all of these armies against each other in this last turn. Because as we see, the way that it's actually ended up means that the entire dynamic is completely changed. So imagine if, like, the end game was triggered like 2 turns ago, maybe this would have all happened sooner. Things would be completely different. So it's not particularly kind of realistic, or should I say simulationist, in terms of empire building in that respect. But at the same time, maybe that's where you'd be looking at a longer campaign. And I must say the difference in the length of the campaigns, so you got 15, then 20, then 25 is the different lengths. So you're short, medium, long. But as you can see at this stage, like, you've got so many victory points coming in at this moment that it's then only a matter of time. Like, you could literally complete the long campaign in like 2 more turns, right? The long campaign is not actually that much longer. You could definitely look. The Carthaginians are on 19, right? They're definitely going they would definitely have the points to trigger the end game in the next turn. So the medium-sized campaign is 1 turn longer, and the long one is maybe only 1 or 2 turns longer than the short. So a little bit of that at the end. So sorry if that's a little bit of a downer, but I suppose that's just my kind of review of the campaigns. At the same time, it is awesome that we got those epic battles. I just hope that I didn't scare a lot of you off in the first instance, where